Hi, I'm Wire. Welcome to Wireworks. Hi everyone. What we have here is a HALLICRAFTERS s38e 4-band AM and CW receiver. We're going to fire this up and see if there's anything wrong with it. And if it is, we're going to see if we can get it to work. There's a big misconception about restoring a radio and refurbishing a radio. Most of the videos you see here on YouTube are refurbishing a radio, even though they many other people say they're restoring the radio. Restoration of an item is using original parts to replace the bad parts. Unfortunately, if you use original parts from this era, most likely they're not going to work anyway. So 99% of the time what you see here on YouTube is refurbishing, putting newer parts, state-of-the-art parts to replace the older parts. So if you see anything that says restoration, if they're not using original parts, it's a refurbishing. So what we're going to do is refurbish this radio. So first thing we're going to do is fire this up and see what's going on. I got it on. I have it on an isolation transformer. Let's see what we get. Let's see if we get anything out of this. I know I've already tested the tubes and all of them test good. We'll see what's going on. And let's see if anything. Okay, everything's lighting up. Now this radio does have a hot chassis, so we're definitely going to repair that. So it does fire up. We're on band 4. Let's go to band 1.
Son died for you. Number 3. Invite him into your life.
Well, obviously,
to the point of commitment.
It's receiving well. There's no hum.
Turning your life over to it.
So it is working well. So I think what we're going to do is open it up. There's a problem right there we're going to have to take care of. Dial string is loose. So we'll see what's going on with that. And see if we can get that fixed, or maybe even replace it with a new dial string. I don't know. We'll see what's happening. The dial light does work, as I can see. You might not be able to see it because of all the lights I have on here, but it does seem to work. And I do not have this hooked up to an antenna, so it seems like it's working in all the. I'm getting something on all the bands. So let's open this up and see what's going on the inside. I'll be right back. Hello, we're back now. What we're going to do now is take off the bottom here and see what we have on the inside. This is the first time I'm opening this up, so I don't know if it's been worked on or not, or if it has the original circuitry. If it does have the original circuitry, I would say it's playing fairly well, having the original circuitry still in this. So let's see what's going on here. Okay. As you can see, it still does have the original circuitry. I will be changing this out and upgrading the capacitors, at least. Take a couple voltage measurements, but everything in here seems to look pretty good. This is a 4-section capacitor. It's 60, 40, 40, 20. We will be replacing this with separate capacitors. It's a lot more cost efficient doing it that way. We'll take all these capacitors will be replaced, especially these bumblebee caps. They're notorious for exploding. But other than that, this looks pretty good. So what we'll do is I'll replace all these. Now I have a since this is a hot chassis, well not so much being a hot chassis, but with the dial string rigged up the way it is, and this being easily accessible, I'm going to replace all the caps with the chassis still in the cabinet. Once I do that, we'll give it a test, and then we'll take the chassis out of the cabinet and see what we can do with that dial cord and get that to working real well, and maybe clean up the chassis a bit. So let's get these all taken care of, and I'll be right back after we put the caps in. As you can see, we've already recapped this, and I checked all the resistors. 2 of them I had to replace; they were really out of tolerance, and haven't fired it up yet. So let's fire this up and see if this thing is playing. I'm pretty sure it's going to play, because all I did was replace all the caps that were in there. There was nothing wrong with anything. I just wanted to replace it. The capacitors, and put some state-of-the-art, up-to-date capacitors in it. So let's fire this up. Oh, before we go any farther, I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but this volume control seems to be loose. When I turn it on, it seems to push away from the body of it. So it works, but it just doesn't feel right to me. So when we get this out of the cabinet, we'll see what's going on with that. Maybe we can tighten it up and get it to work properly. But anyway, let's plug this in and fire it up and see what happens. I have it hooked to an antenna that runs outside. It's a long wire. I'll use it for my other shortwave radio. It seems to work fine. I want to extend it a little bit more. It's only about 30 feet. Well, it does take a long time for this to heat up. There we go.
Pergamum Fellowship. I know where you dwell, where Saint...
Seems to be working fine.
Stops and consolidate debt, lower your payment, or even get cash back. I repeat, you can now refinance your current mortgage. I guess that... So,
That static is my LED right here. Let's turn that off.
process these things take. Then you have the...
So it seems to be working fairly well. Still have to work on this dial string, so let's pull this out of the cabinet and see what we can do with the dial string. And that seems to be working now. Well, it's working fine. As you can see, this is moving. The volume pot's moving very significantly. So let's get this out of the cabinet and see what we can do. Okay, now what we're going to do here is remove this chassis from this cabinet here, and see if we can play around with this dial cord. It has been working well. Reason why it's not turning out is I got all these knobs loose. So let's take this out and see what we can do. Okay, I've already loosened the knobs. We'll clean these up a little bit. Let me set these in this tray here. Okay, flip this over. Okay, I want to remove these tubes so we don't bust those. Okay, these ones in the shield should be okay for now. Now, what I like to do, that's not even soldered in. These aren't even soldered in. Somebody obviously has been in this thing before. So what I like to do is I went to the dollar store and bought 6 or 7 different colors of fingernail polish. The woman looked at me funny when I bought them all, but I like to use this for marking. So I'll mark this and this. That way I know that lead goes back to that speaker terminal. So let's get these speakers out here. You have to take the speakers off in order to get the chassis out. I mean, since these aren't soldered in, it's kind of easy. Or maybe not. So what we'll do is we'll just cut this one out. So, okay, now let's remove the speaker from the chassis. A little tight, but we'll get it out. This doesn't look like it's the original speaker to me. Let's take this plug off. Okay. Speaker looks pretty good, in good shape. Little hole there. We're gonna fix that. Let's put this up here on the side. The rubber feet look like they're in decent condition. Let's flip this around again. Now, what we have to do is you have to take these 2 screws off, other than the screws on the bottom, in order to get this done. Let me get this out and I'll be right back. Okay, all the screws are removed from the cabinet, so let's get this out. Should slide right on out. Chassis doesn't look too bad. A tad bit dirty. You have to cock this a little bit in order to get it out. Let's see what's going on here. I guess this is the way we're going to have to do it. Okay, there you go. So that's it out. Put the cabinet to the side right now. Okay, not too bad. Okay, let's see what's going on. see this dowel string. Okay, this dowel string looks a little tore up. So most likely we're going to have to replace this dowel string. And I'm waiting for the dowel string to come in the mail. I ordered it 2 weeks ago off of eBay, but we all know how eBay is. I don't know if the dowel cord's coming apart or... Okay, let's see what we have here. So we're going to have to take this dowel string off. Okay, the back dowel string looks fairly decent. So what we're going to probably have to do is let's go ahead and take this front off and see and put a new dowel string on it when it comes in. I was hoping this dowel string would be okay, but obviously it isn't. So as soon as the dowel string comes in, we'll get that going and see if we can work from there. In the meantime, I'm going to clean this up and clean the cabinet up, and I'll be back when I take this cover off. Okay, as you see, I got the dowel plate off, and wasn't too hard to get off, but still had to get around this band selector here. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the band spread dowel cord. I don't even know if I'm going to mess around with that, but as you can see, it's really a lot of stringing I have to do here for the main band, for the main variable capacitor. I think what happened to it is the main dowel string seems to be rubbing on this one on the band spread wheel. As you can see right here, I don't know. I think it was just somebody put this dowel string on here and it's wrong. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, I'm going to be replacing the forward string here. So let's attempt that, and I'll be back after I get it on. This is kind of like the hardest part to work on when it comes to these old radios, is the dowel string. You got to make sure they're exactly the same length. If not, you have to start all over again with a new string. I've done this 100 times, and every time it's been tough. So and this is one of the hardest. This is one of the most hardest ones I've seen yet. I will clean up these washers here. It seems like there's a little bit of corrosion. I'm still trying to find out why this is rubbing so close to this. So let me tackle this, and I'll be back when we get done. Okay, here's the finished product here. The dowel string wasn't as hard as I thought. What I've noticed on this radio here, it's got like 3 different gangs of dowel strings, so it only took me about 15 minutes to put a new one on with the help of Scotch tape. I got it the first try. First time it's ever happened to me where the dowel string went on the first time. Well, anyway, let's fire this up and see what's going on. I still don't know why this takes so long to fire up, to heat up.
talking about in this hour, because
As you can see, the dial cord's working great. I do not have this hooked up to an antenna. The sensitivity really is great on this thing. Let me turn this off.
There was so much money spent on this one.
So, dial cord's working great. Radio receives real well. Now, as far as the this being a hot chassis, all I did was put a polarized plug on this. I looked at all the nylon insulators and everything. They all looked great. There really wasn't nothing wrong with this radio. I just wanted to upgrade it with some of the newer capacitors. Like I said, everything in here was fine. The cord, the power cord was great. All I did was make sure that the chassis was polarized to the ground on my plug. Other than that, it's a fine radio, and I appreciate everybody watching. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. My next video is going to be on NRI signal tracers, so watch out for that one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you the next time. This is Wireworks, and have a good one.